Hell is other people. This phrase by Jean-Paul Sartre was, for a long time, misinterpreted, reduced to a cynical view of human coexistence. But today, let's look at it with different eyes. Not the eyes of judgment, nor the eyes of the ego, but the eyes of conscience. Because the real hell is not in the other, it is in the separation. Observe calmly. When someone bothers us, we are rarely reacting to the person themselves. We react to the image we create of them, to what we project, to the story we tell, to the distorted reflection our mind has constructed. The mind divides the world into me and the other. It compares, analyzes, classifies. This one threatens me. This one irritates me. This one doesn't understand me. But look, this is just thinking, an artificial layer over reality, and the more we believe in it, the more trapped we become in this game. We become more distant from peace. Suffering arises not because of the other, but because we forget who we are. We forget that there is no separate self here, fighting against an other out there. When you look someone in the eye and feel tension, fear, or rejection, stop. Don't look outside, look inside. Ask, who is seeing this other? Who is feeling this resistance? Who is acting out this scene? And then, perhaps, you will discover that it is not the other that holds you back. It is the identity you have created. It is the story you cling to. It is the illusion of self in opposition to the world. In the absence of this separation, what is left? Silence, presence, space. And in this space, the other dissolves. Not because he disappears, but because there are no longer any barriers between you and him. There is no need to love the other, nor accept him, nor forgive him. All this still starts from the idea of two, of an I that does something in relation to an other. But when there is true perception, there are no longer two, there is only being. The same being appearing in different forms, and then even hell becomes heaven. The irony is this: when you stop seeking to change the other, they often soften. When you stop reacting, they often listen. When you no longer project a role onto them, they no longer need to act it out. But even if they don't change, you are free, because your peace is no longer dependent on their behavior. It arises from within. You've stepped out of the battlefield. You're no longer playing the game of roles and reactions, and from that stillness, you see the truth. There are no others, only reflections, only invitations to wake up. The hell we blamed on others was built brick by brick inside our own mind, and presence is the fire that gently burns it down. Hell is not other people. Hell is the reaction within us when we see others not as they are, but as a threat to who we think we are. The ego is always measuring, comparing, defending. It walks into every interaction already armored, ready to be validated or ready to be offended. And when someone challenges our image of ourselves, we feel pain. We say they hurt us. But did they really? Or did they just touch the edges of a mask we weren't ready to drop? You see, what makes human relationships so powerful and so painful is that they constantly press on our hidden wounds. They mirror back the exact places where we are still clinging to being right, to being respected, to being admired, to being in control. And when the mirror reflects something we don't like, we blame the mirror. But what if you stopped? What if you let the mirror show you what's there, without resistance? What if every difficult conversation, every confrontation, every cold stare or harsh word was just life whispering, "Look deeper"? This is not about them. Presence is what transforms all relationships. Not presence as a spiritual concept, but the simple, quiet awareness that doesn't judge, doesn't flinch, doesn't defend. When you are present, the mind slows down. The narratives fall away. There's just a human being in front of you, another form of the same beingness you are. No one to impress, no one to change. Just this sacred moment of connection, or even disconnection, as it is. You are simply meeting what is, as it is. And in that meeting, there is no enemy, there is no division, there is only life meeting life. So when Sartre said, "Hell is other people," perhaps what he truly revealed was the suffering born from the illusion of separation, not the people, but the false self perceiving people as threats. When that illusion falls, so does the suffering. But to truly dissolve the illusion of the other, you must first turn inward. Because all judgment, all aversion, all resentment, they begin inside. They are not reactions to reality, but echoes of a fragmented self trying to hold itself together. And what is this self? A collection of stories, memories, images, roles, fears. It's not solid, it's not permanent. It shifts depending on who you're with, what mood you're in, what past you're carrying. So when someone says something that cuts deep, what is actually hurt? The real you? Or a thought? You begin to see that what you've been defending all your life is an idea, not a truth. And when that idea begins to fall apart, so do the walls you've built to protect it, walls made of anger, of distance, of cold indifference or fake charm, walls that once felt like safety, but now feel like prison. And here's the miracle of awareness. It doesn't tear those walls down violently. It simply shines through the cracks. It reveals that the walls were never real to begin with. There is no need to become a better version of yourself in order to love or to be free. There is only a need to stop clinging to the image of who you are and who the other is. When you drop the idea that you are separate, that you must protect yourself from them, then every encounter becomes a meditation. Every conversation becomes a dance. Even silence shared with another becomes a sacred space. Not because the other has changed, but because you are no longer projecting, no longer filtering them through past pain, future expectations, or internal fears. It doesn't depend on the world changing or people becoming more spiritual. It depends only on you seeing clearly, not just others, but the mechanism that turns life into conflict. Hell is not other people. Hell is the refusal to be fully present. And the exit from hell is not in fighting the world or fixing every flaw or finding the perfect relationship. It is in sitting quietly, watching the movement of thought, and refusing to identify with it. To drop the story, to drop the blame, to drop the me that needs defending. In that moment, peace is not something you attain. It is what remains when the noise stops. This is the invitation, not to escape life, but to meet it without armor. And in that openness, what you feared was hell becomes a gateway to truth, to silence, to love. Not because the other changed, but because you are no longer at war with what is. Let the war end, right now. Let yourself be here, fully. no longer needing to be someone, no longer needing to protect anything, just being. That's where freedom lives. And so, what remains when the illusion dissolves? Stillness, a spaciousness in which the so-called other is no longer separate from you. In this space, judgment cannot survive, because there's no me to be right, and no them to be wrong. There is only seeing, clear, director, without filter. This seeing doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean allowing harm or pretending all is perfect. Rather, it's the end of reaction, the end of interpreting everything as personal. You begin to live in presence, not in protection. And from presence, right action arises on its own, without effort, without drama, without the story of me versus them. The mind may still try to separate, to defend, to label. That's its habit. But you are no longer the mind. You are the space in which the mind appears. You are the awareness that sees the whole movement play out and chooses not to engage. This is the freedom no one can give you, and no one can take away.